Okay, I just wanted to go over the problem we did in class today, which was the one that talked about Rachel and Joe, right? And notice that the problem was given to you in the number of hours. A couple of people had problems with that, and I just kind of wanted to show you a trick. What we can do is we can turn these from number of hours into output. The way to do that is to pick some number that works with all the numbers that it can be multiplied into. So let's say, for example, I'm going to make time equal to 8 hours. And so what I'm basically saying is I'm asking, how much bread can Rachel make in 8 hours? How much can Joe make? How many apple pies can she make in 8 hours? And how many apple pies can Joe make in 8 hours? All right. So if I do that, what I'm going to end up doing when h is equal to 8, all right, and I have my numbers before, which were the 2, the 4, the 1, and the 4. My new chart with bread and apple pie. Bear with me with my camera because it keeps focusing in and out. All right, if Rachel has 8 hours and it takes her 2 hours to make a bread, she will produce 4 loaves of bread during those 8 hours. Now, if Rachel does apple pies and she can do 1 pie an hour, then 8 divided by 1 is just 8. And this is Rachel. And let's do the same thing for Joe. If Joe had 8 hours to do nothing but bread, and it takes him 4 hours to make 1 piece of bread, 8 divided by 4 equals 2. And the same thing for his apple pie. We know that it takes him 4 hours to make an apple pie, so 8 divided by 4 again is 2. All right? This is now in terms of output, which you can graph on a PPF curve. Right? So Rachel's PPF with bread on this axis, apple pie here, all right, and Joe, same thing, bread, apple pie here. When I graph this, Rachel can do 4 bread or 8 apple pies. Our PPF curve looks like this. Joe, on the other hand, can do 2 and 2, 2 and 2. We said earlier, Rachel had the absolute advantage. So now that I've done this, I can go back and solve it the way we were doing the other ones. I will have 4b is equal to 8a. When I solve for b, I'm going to divide both sides by by 4. I'm left with b is equal to 8 divided by 4 is 2, 2a. When I solve, now I want to solve for a, so I'm going to divide both sides by the number 2, and I'm going to end up with a is equal to half of b. And all I'm saying that is that when Rachel makes a bread, she gives up or forgoes 2 apple pies. When she makes an apple pie, she's giving up half a bread, which goes back in line what we had said earlier with our opportunity cost. If you had done it this way, we said earlier, if Rachel were to give up making the bread, how many apple pies could she make? And we said earlier, she didn't make bread and took those 2 hours and devoted to apple pies, she would get 2 apple pies. So we said 1 bread is equal to 2 apple pies. It's the same ratio right here. 1 bread is equal to 2 apple pies. All right, let's do the same thing for Joe. Kind of much easier. We know that an apple equals bread, and bread equals apple. Now that we have the opportunity cost in this format, all we have to do is figure out who is cheaper. So for bread, it costs Rachel 2 apple pies, Joe just 1 apple pie. Rachel should focus on the production of bread. No. Joe should focus on the production of bread, because it's 1 here versus 2. And then Rachel should focus on apple pies. It's half of a bit of bread here versus $1, so she should do apple pies. All right, so again, Joe will do bread. He has a comparative advantage, and Rachel has an absolute advantage in both. However, she should focus on apple pies. Rachel, apple pies. And let me just get a tight shot of that. So you can double check all your numbers.